right, everybody. Hello, hail, and welcome to this live stream. Good to see Zach. Thanks for commenting. Just wait for a few more people to join. What's up, Century Man? Remember you on Facebook. Appreciate you commenting. Hail and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Back again live here on Midgard Musings YouTube channel for another version or a continuation of the what I like to call the COVID-19 quarantine live stream. We're all hanging out here. We're all locked down a lot of times here lately. Nothing else much to do but to just peruse the internet. All right. I've got some stuff that I can get done, some work that I can get accomplished. And tonight is going to be a sort of very casual hangout session with everybody who's watching here on YouTube. So hello, Terry. Hail and welcome. Hello, Saber Voltriga. Woot! And Damien Odinson. So everybody who's watching, if you've not subscribed yet to the channel, you'll see it right down here in the bottom of your screen. And you will also see this ugly thing, this little buying rune. I say ugly, but I'm being facetious. This is the Midgard Musings buying rune. Biggest thing that you see, right? Subscribe to Midgard Musings. My shoulder just popped. I don't know what's going on with that. Subscribe to Midgard Musings if this is your first time watching the live streams. I do weekly videos on a regular basis, semi-regular basis, talking about Norse heathenry, Germanic paganism, my kind of take on the view of the world. I'm reading the comments down here on my phone. So everybody that's watching, as I'm looking this way, it's to read your comment. So please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet already. Today's video, as you can tell by the title, it's going to be a Scotch tasting Q&A. And I'm also going to be probably continuing to work on this rune set that I'm currently in the process of working on. I had to go out today to get more supplies, but here I am. So, hail and welcome. Thank you everyone for joining. So far, I got about 6 live viewers here watching. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, which is going to be, and like I said, initially I'm going to show you guys. I'm a Scotch drinker. I love Scotch. Scotch is my favorite alcoholic beverage that I tend to dabble in. But I really appreciate the single malt Scotches. So I'm going to show you what I have currently in my inventory, my collection, as it were, which is very modest. I only have 4 single malts right now currently in my collection. So I'm going to share that with you and let you know what I think of them. If you guys want to ask me questions about that, that's great. Anything else about heathenry, Germanic paganism, this Northern European spirituality, you want to ask me questions, I'm happy to answer. So it's going to be an open forum for everybody here. So please, while you're here, while you're watching, share the link to this live stream, share it on your social media, and invite people to come hang out, right? Because what else have we got better to do? It's right here, right now in my part of the world. It is about 8 o'clock, 8:15 p.m. and getting into it's Saturday night. It's Saturday night here. A lot of us like to go and hang out on Saturday nights, go to the bars, go to the pubs, go to the this, that, thing, or the other. But with this whole COVID-19 thing, we're on lockdown. We're shut in, and we're here. So I want to take this opportunity to interact with everybody, hear your feedback. So hail and welcome to Damien, Saber. Hello, Michelle. Welcome back. Ezekiel Skaggs. I know you, my friend. Hail and welcome to the live stream. All right, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to the Midgard Musings COVID-19 quarantine live stream. Going to be working on some rune sets. yesterday and over the last couple of days, I've been working on these pieces, which are driftwood pieces for a client here in Middle Tennessee. I like to give them some depth and some, you know, texture, some attitude, some whatever you want to call it. I'm going to be working more on this rune set tonight, but initially, what we're going to be doing while I'm waiting for people to join, 9 live viewers, which is a great number. We're going to be talking about some Scotch. I'm going to share with you guys my Scotch collection, answer your questions, and then we'll get into doing some rune burnings, maybe even get into some of this. You guys have been hanging out with me for the last few nights. I've been doing this Asgard stories of the lore, really fun take on it. So there's that. Good evening, Norse Witch. Hail and welcome. Thanks for commenting. 617 in Nevada, where Damien is checking in. And yes, Ezekiel Driftwood. All right. So here's the thing, guys and gals. First of all, stay hydrated. That's the most important thing I can tell you right now. Stay hydrated. Don't forget, hydration is important. If you're not hydrated, you are severely limiting yourself. So stay hydrated first and foremost. Okay. So now that we've got that out of the way, right? I'm gonna take a little bit of hit of the vape. You're all my people. You're all watching. You're all commenting. You're all engaging down live. 12 live viewers. Really appreciate it. Let's get into you guys. You guys interested in seeing kind of the stuff that I dabble in a little bit with scotches? You guys interested in that? I hope you are, because we're gonna do it. If you aren't, whether you are or aren't, we're gonna do it anyway. So let's talk about Scotch. Scotch whiskeys. Okay, love this stuff. You guys ever watched this is probably going back years and years ago, that movie Anchorman with Will Ferrell, right? And he's all in his newscast. He's like, "I like Scotch, Scotch, Scotchy, Scotch." Right? That's pretty much me. That's my Ron Burgundy is my spirit animal. Not ashamed, at least at this point right now. But I like Scotch, Scotchy, Scotch, Scotch, whatever. But here's the thing. There are certain scotches that I like, certain scotches that I don't like, and I'm going to show you guys the 4 bottles of scotch that I have right now currently in my single malt collection to talk about and let you guys know what I think of them. So I do love scotch. Thank you, Zach, for stating the obvious or asking about the obvious. Yes, I do love scotch. I love lamp, says Michelle Flowers. Lamps are cool. Lamps give light. All right. So here is, first of all, I'm gonna show you first. I can't kind of like rate this scotch, but I'm going to show you my favorite scotch right now that I currently don't have any of. I have some of this brand or this variety, but I don't have any currently of this, which is the Highland Park Viking Honor. It's a 12-year single malt. As you can see, the bottle is empty, but I love the etchings on the glass, and I love the design of it. I have one that I'm going to be sharing with you right now. I'm going to be sampling some with you in this really awesome shot glass. I'm going to show you guys here in a minute, but this is one of my favorite single malts right now. Okay, it is. I don't know if anybody out here is a Scotch drinker, but it is peaty, kind of earthy, but also sweet, also very smooth. There's not that like really like harsh smokiness that you get in a lot of the peaty scotches. One of my favorite scotches out here, for this bottle in my area, this is running you about 50, 60 bucks, 55, 60 bucks. Wonderful variety, wonderful brand, wonderful company, Highland Park. I'm going to show you first and foremost, the next brand or the next variety of scotch that I have from this company. That one that I just showed you, the empty bottle, I got last year around my birthday, and I just recently finished it. So for a 750 milliliter bottle to last that long around me is good. Um, yeah, a quote from Anchorman. Michelle, reading your comment there. Yes, it is actually good and is very good. So here is another highlight, and I am by no means sponsored or anything by Highland Park, but here is another beautiful, delicious single malt Scotch. I don't know the age on this. Of course, the Highland Park is a 12-year single malt. Everything that we're going to be looking at, guys and gals, everything that we're going to be looking at are all single malts. So this is another single malt, and it is called Magnus. It is a dark glass bottle. I can't. There's no transparency to this, and if there is, you need like a really bright light behind it. But unlike the other bottle that you can kind of see, I'm not sure. I've enjoyed this for a bit, but it is a single malt Scotch whiskey. So on the back, let me read it to you. Unapologetically bold, smoky, and undeniably Orcadian. This single malt bears the soul of our Viking ancestors and the name of just one, our founder, Magnus Ensign. Enjoy a whiskey crafted in the old way by a new generation of Vikings. Skull is what it says on the back. So we're going to go ahead and sample this in my very special shot glass. I don't shoot Scotch. However, I'm going to, for the sake of everyone watching live and for the sake of the review, that sort of thing, we're going to do a shot of Scotch. I've got this shot glass, which was provided courtesy of Norse Blood. Got a nice Valknut etched into this glass. It says Norse Blood on the side. This is my Scotch shot glass. If I were to categorize one as such, I use it for different things, right? It's not exclusive to Scotch, but for the sake of this video, for the sake of the live stream, we're talking about Scotch right now. So let's go ahead and use this one. All right. Yes, you do, Zach. If you are a Scotch fan, you definitely need to try the Highland Park. And I think that once you try it, let me just say this much before we go into the actual tasting of the Magnus. The Viking Honor, this one, I love the bottle so much I saved it. It's empty and it sits on my shelf, but it's empty, and I like the etching and everything on it. I love this one. It's peaty, it's sweet, it's fruity. There's a lot of different things, so you get a bit of an Islay. Any Scotch drinkers, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But you get that smokiness, that peatiness from the Islay type of Scotch, and then you also get that richness and that fruitiness from like a Speyside, which we're going to be getting into here in just a minute. Wonderful combination and blend of both different varieties of Scotch. So as we amazing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the live stream, COVID-19 quarantine live stream here on the 28th. Is it 28th of March? Sampling a single malt Highland Park Magnus. A Highland Park Magnus. Let's go ahead and pour this out. There you go. Okay. Cork this bad boy up. Now I can tell you that if anybody who is a Scotch connoisseur, maybe if you're not, the single malts have a distinct flavor. Well, not distinct flavor, distinct aroma, and it really depends on the type of single malt that it is. Your Islay Scotches, your Islay varieties are going to have a very, almost like, imagine if you can, the wind blowing off the coast, right? You're standing on a coastal front, the wind's blowing into your face, and you get that almost salty sea air blowing into your face, right? A lot of the Islay Scotches are going to be very earthy and like you're getting blown in the face by salt water. So this Scotch, this is the Magnus Scotch. And if I was to close my eyes and breathe it in, and I get a little bit of that oceanfront air kind of getting into me. I get a little bit of that, just like that salty almost aroma. Um, but yet I also get a earthy sort of sweetness, very fruity in a way. So this is the Highland Park Magnus single malt from Highland Park. Hail and Skull. Thank you everyone for joining. Let's give it a taste. Now, first of all, let me just say when we're tasting single malts, when we're tasting single malt scotches, um, the quality of the whiskey, all right, can quite often be um, like compounded upon. Like you can add the quality, you can add the quality of the whiskey by adding either ice or a splash of water or something like that. I always when I'm first trying a single malt for the first time, when I want to get its full, you know, essence and its full quality, I'm going to drink it neat. Right? So this is all room temperature. This is all no ice, no water, no nothing. And the out of the two so far, out of the Magnus and out of the Highland Park, the Viking Honor, both Highland Park, but out of the Magnus and out of the Viking Honor, I prefer the Viking Honor over the Magnus. Magnus is a delicious Scotch. It's got a little bit of that sort of peatiness that you would get from an Islay Scotch. Some of that salty smokiness that you would get, but there's a very higher content, or much higher content, I should say, of the earthy fruitiness. I prefer the Viking Honor over Magnus. Magnus is beautiful though. It's a wonderful Scotch. Let me just read through the comments here. Um, Directed by Xander Jones. Hey Xander, don't have any Scotch, but do have a number 7 Jack Daniels. We'll sign on with the rocks with your whiskey glass. Well, what's up, man? I know Xander. Xander's watching right now. Does a lot of stuff here in the Middle Tennessee area where I'm located. Has actually hung out with me and partaken in some more. Um, he's actually been a part of one of our Yule's celebration. Just cleansing my palate right now. Xander's good folk, so thank you, Xander, for watching and commenting. Skull indeed. Damien says broke right now, so always got a cheap bottle of whiskey, Black Velvet. Hey, you know what? You can talk shit all you want about Black Velvet. I love Black Velvet, and for the longest time, Black Velvet has been a staple on my shelf. My day-to-day Scotch, guys, I don't drink single malts every single day. I don't. My day-to-day Scotch is a blended Scotch, and it's called Clan McGregor, and it's about in the same price point as something as like a Black Velvet. Okay, so if you're looking to get into the Scotch realms of whiskey, and you want to dabble into it a little bit, look for Clan McGregor. You're going to be in the same, roughly the same price range, maybe within a few dollars of what you would see for like Black Velvet. And I love Black Velvet. I've enjoyed Black Velvet for many, many years, right? Remember that song? Black Velvet, if you please. Right? Come on. Like, who doesn't like Black Velvet? If you do, or don't, if you don't like Black Velvet, nothing against you. But hey, it's all right. Nothing against you for enjoying Black Velvet, right? So, everybody who's watching live, 10 live streamers, 10 live viewers, thank you so much. Please be sure to share the video. Up above, we did the Highland Park Magnus. I've got 3 more single malts that we're going to be talking about. One of which I got today, and it's a Speyside. So here's the thing, for a lot of folks who may not necessarily know what I'm talking about when it comes to varieties of single malts. The Islay single malt scotches are very bold, very strong, very smoky, very, it's almost like you're drinking it, and if you inhale when you drink it, it's almost like you're inhaling the smoke from a barbecue pit. It is a very acquired taste. So your Islay scotches, which are going to be like if you look at brands, your single malts are going to be like Lefroy, Talisker, um, Smokehead. A lot of these, there's some other ones. Even some of your blended scotches, blended and single malt scotches are. You can get into the high end of the blended scotches, and when I say blended, I'm talking like Johnny Walker. I'm talking like um, what's that one? Oh, my grandparents used to drink it all the time. Johnny Walker's a blended Scotch, but it's a sort of high end blended Scotch. Shiva's Regal, right? Shiva's is a high end blended Scotch, but the Johnny Walker, like you can get some of that smoky peatiness from your blended Scotches, but your single malts are going to be top tier. And you have various levels of uh, single malts, right? So you have your top shelf single malts, you have your mid, and you have your lower. Um, what we're going to be looking at here, like so far right now, is I've been um, with this one here right now. This would categorize as a top shelf single malt on the low end of the price range, right? So this 750 milliliter bottle um, in my area is going to run you around $60 for a 750 milliliter bottle. All right. The next one that we're going to be looking at, let me read the comments here. Let's see. Terry Lemma loves it in coffee. Can't say they have. Anybody had Jefferson Ocean batch? Michelle Flowers asking if anybody's had Jefferson Ocean batch. I have personally not. But I'm intrigued as to is that a single malt Scotch? Is that a Islay Scotch? It sounds like it. If you're saying Ocean Batch, sounds like something that I'm personally intrigued, and so I might want to look for that around my liquor stores as and when I'm able to. Sounds amazing. Um, but yeah, so the next one that we're going to be sampling, all right, is one that I actually picked up today, and it is not an Islay. It is actually a Speyside, which the Speyside scotches tend to be way more mild. They are earthy, they are rich. They tend to hold a bit of a, like, after you drink and after you sip and after you consume, you're going to feel the burn from the whiskey a little bit longer. There's going to be that longer, slower burn. But it's not going to hit you with a bite up front like the Islay scotches do. So the Speysides, for me, tend to taste very similar, at least up front. But this one I got because of the price range. I got this bottle today, and this is it's called, if I'm saying it wrong, it's Lymore, I don't know. Not 100% sure, but it is a 15-year single malt Speyside. So 15-year in a single barrel, single malt, hasn't been blended with any other barrels, and it is a single malt Scotch for 15 years. So if you were looking at this from a label aspect, you're like, okay, the 15 years tend to be a bit on the higher end, and this is actually mid shelf. This ran me, for this 750 ml bottle, ran me about 45, $50. And it's a Speyside, so it doesn't give you that initial bite, that initial bark, that initial oof up front that you get from the Islay scotches. So let's go ahead and sample this. I really love the Highland Park brand, right? So far, I've had two of their scotches, the Highland Park Viking Honor and the Highland, which is a 12-year, and the Highland Park Magnus, and I'm not sure what that is, if it's a 10-year, 12-year, whatever, it doesn't say. But the 12-year, the Viking Honor, #1 favorite. The Magnus is a close second. All right, so let's go ahead and give this Leesmore, whatever, 15-year Speyside Scotch a try. All right, put that down. Cork that bad boy. Thank you all so much for watching, 8 live viewers. We're going to get into some more of the heathenry related stuff. Don't get me wrong. And don't please stop watching just because I'm talking about liquor right now. We're going to be getting into some stuff. I got my wood burner already heated up. We're going to be getting into the Asgard stories here in a little bit. Right now, we're just hanging out. It's a Saturday night, right? We're all hanging out. We're all having a good time. So here's my review, okay, of the Leesmore. And again, if I'm mispronouncing it, I apologize. This is the first time I've ever tried this one, and I was intrigued by it just because of it's a 15-year and in the price range that it was. So here we go. 15-year single malt Speyside Scotch. Hail and Skull. Okay. Okay. Now, that particular whiskey is very buttery, very warm, very smooth. Not so much of a bite up front. There's almost a sense of like caramel notes. I'm getting caramel notes on the back end, on the exhale, right? So there's parts of this Scotch that gives a very rich and warm and buttery, welcoming flavor and body to it. Okay. I think that for the price range, this was, like I said, this was marked on the shelves as $45. It was mid-range, mid-shelf, for a single malt, especially for a 15-year single malt. You know, what else I'm getting right now? I'm getting that caramel smoothness. I'm getting that sweetness, but I'm also getting this richness of almost like a coffee quality, which is interesting. So that tells me that there's some earthiness to it. Um, really good for a Speyside. I wouldn't discredit it or discount it as a bad Scotch, right? So if you guys are looking to get into the Scotch realms of whiskey, this would be a good one. The Speyside Scotches tend to be a bit forgiving because what I've noticed is that a lot of people that may get into Scotch drinking, if they are introduced to Islay Scotches that have that strong oceany just smokiness up front, it tends to deter them from exploring the wonderful complexity of Scotch. This is a good um sort of like if you were just weaning yourself into Scotches, this is a good one. Leesmore, whatever. It's a 15-year. In my area. This is about a $45 to $50 uh, handle of liquor. Very delicious, very good. Definitely recommend it. And let me go ahead and read the comments. Weather changes each note as it travels. The Magnus is listed as a NAS whiskey, which is no age statement. So that is something like Damien was saying. Thank you for doing the research, by the way, Damien, because I'm not doing it as we speak. So it's no age specific, right? The Viking Honor is a 12-year. We know that. That's what they have it labeled as. Not 100% sure what this is, and it's not age, um, specific. So it's good. It's delicious. Don't get me wrong, but we don't know how many years it's been aged as a single malt. So, hopefully this has helped. We're 2 bottles in. Got 2 bottles more to go. 2 of my most favorite bottles right now that I have saved as my sort of reserve bottles of single malt. Really good stuff. Guys, be sure to maintain your hydration, stay hydrated, drink your water. Okay? Get up, stand up, exercise, all that kind of fun stuff. Thank you very much, Damien. All right, so 10 live viewers. Thank you so much. Anybody who's watching down below, let me know where you are in the United States or where you are in the world, in the country, in the greater aspect of Midgard, because I do these live streams here now during this pandemic thing that we're facing. It's crazy times, and I'm always intrigued and curious to know as where you are watching what I'm doing, right? This may not be something that everybody's interested in, right? Like I'm starting the show with a Scotch drinking, Scotch tasting, Scotch sampling. We're gonna get into some stuff that everyone who hopefully subscribes to my channel is interested in. The Norse Germanic paganism stuff. We're gonna be getting into some rune burnings. We're gonna be get into some readings of the lore, all that kind of fun stuff. But let me know where you are. Let me know if you're watching. Everyone who's watching right now, everyone who I see, all 10 viewers. Let me know where you're watching from. You can just give me a state. Doesn't really even matter specifically, right? I've got Kansas City, Missouri, Nevada, in the area about an hour west of Vegas. We got Georgia, mostly in the United States. I freaking love everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, supporting this channel. What else are we going to do, guys, while we're sitting here under this COVID-19 quarantine order, right? We're sitting here. Really love your support. So let's go into the last 2 bottles before we get into our rune set wood burnings. Let me see what we've got here. What's the next one that I want to do? I want to do yes. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of following a progression of what I like versus what I love, right? So we're getting into now the bottles of things that I particularly love. The quality, the delicious, just everything that's embodying Scotch, right? So here we are. We've gone through a couple of shots to kind of share with you the qualities of the whiskey. This is a Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 12 years in bourbon and sherry casks. Okay, and I'm talking about the Tomatin 12 year. All right, so Tomatin 12 year. This is a favorite of mine specifically. I am saving the best for last. Has anybody here sampled the Tomatin 12 year? If you have, go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you think. Go ahead and pour this. There we go. One and done, ladies and gentlemen. One and done. The Tomatin 12 year. This is one of my favorites, actually, just as a nice, relaxing supplier of just good whiskey, right? Nothing fancy, no extra bells or whistles, just very good. If you've already been introduced to the single malt Scotch realm of whiskey sampling, I almost said whiskey scantling. Whiskey sampling. Whiskey is not scandalous, by the way. Okay, so we're talking we're talking about whiskey sampling. The Tomatin 12 year ranks very high on my level of interest. Okay, Zach is about an hour away from Buffalo. Damien is originally from Florida. Ragnaroki says he doesn't get to quarantine because you are essential. You know what, Ragnaroki, thank you for your essential service, and I'm very sorry that you are feeling the pressure right now of having to go to work as an essential employee. Hopefully, it's not adding any more added stress to your life and to what you're doing. But I work in a industry which is IT related, and some of our folks are deemed as essential employees, so we have to get that added measure of, like, you know, fill out extra paperwork, this, that, thing, or the other. It's crazy times. We're all in crazy times. All right, so here we are, about to review the Tomatin 12 year, right? Let me know down below in the comments as you're watching live, all 11 live viewers. Tomatin 12-year single malt scotches. We're doing a sort of live review of my top preferences of scotch. I have a collection. I have a small collection. I'm showing you guys what my collection is. However, my collection will grow. My collection may, over the years and over time, sort of change. And I may remove certain things from my top selection. There's actually one particular scotch that I'm very interested in trying. The Smokehead brand. It's an Islay scotch. Um, Probably be reviewing that over the next maybe week or two, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not sure. That's one that I want to check out. Um, Thank you. Your username, I'm trying to read it. So bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. It's Blar Blarvemo Nemo says nice. Not sure who you are, but thank you for commenting. Ragnarok says calm down, work in an Amazon warehouse, and Joshua says hail Jesse. So Ragnaroki, who says calm down, work in an Amazon warehouse. Hey, I am calm. Working in an IT field myself, in a leadership position, um, calm is good, and calm is right, and calm is what we need to be. So you do what you got to do, and the biggest thing that I can say is, like, stay safe. Stay safe. Um, you've been given those directives. You've been given those orders that you're an essential employee, whatever industry that you're working in, whatever, you know, business that you're connected to and that you're in. Thank you for what you're doing. We've all got to pay the bills. We've all got to do what we've got to do. All right. So right now, during the live stream, we're in a Scotch review, Tomatin 12 year. Let's go ahead and give it a go. Probably here within the next, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, within the next half an hour anyway, we'll be done with the Scotch reviews, and we'll get into doing some rune burnings and reading some of the lore. So everyone who's watching, everyone 13 live viewers, hail, thank you. Tomatin, 12 year, hail and skull. Let's give it a go. All right. For a single malt, especially for a single malt that is not so unapologetically bold in its on the front end. It has a good strong presence in the front, but it also lingers on the back end. Is one thing I would say. Very warm, very rich. On the back end, again, this is not the type of like the stuff that I'm doing right now for everybody that is interested in Scotch. Is this is like you're not going to just be like doing shots of Scotch. This is a whiskey. This is a brand of liquor that you're going to be slowly and progressively enjoying. This isn't something that you want to just do. It's not like tequila, right? It's not like vodka. It's not like anything like that where you're going to be just shooting them down left and right. Single malt scotches are meant to be enjoyed in a small glass, in a small tumbler, preferably neat, maybe with a little bit of water, maybe a little bit of ice to help boost the essences of the single malt whiskey. Um, but you're going to sip, you're going to enjoy it. This is not something that's designed to like get you messed up. Like you don't drink single malt scotches in excess to get you messed up or whatever, right? So we've got one more. That is, I've got one, two, three. I've got 4 bottles sort of set up in my collection right now. This is 3 of 4. Um, the last one that I'm about to do here in the next few minutes is probably my favorite so far, and I haven't reached. I have one brand that I want to try that may supersede my preference. Right now, this is my top preference. And I've held it, and I've sampled it, and I've sipped on it and stuff like that for the last 2 or 3 months, and I'm like half a bottle down, half of a 750 milliliter bottle down. It's great stuff. I love it. All the Scotch drinkers out here that may know it will probably mirror what I'm saying. So thank you, Nerf Berserker, sipping through the apocalypse, and says, glad to see that I am well. And I am well, and I'm glad to hear that you are well. I'm glad to hear that everyone is well. You know, 12 live viewers, that's tremendous. We got directed by Xander Jones, says, hey, gotta go. Phone is about to die. Peace. Well, you know what? You got to plug that phone in. If you're going to be joining the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're going to be joining the live stream here in the COVID-19 2019 pandemic live stream, make sure that you are fully charged and ready to go. All right? Because we're going to be hanging out and we're going to be doing this thing for a while. All right? So, here's the next step of what we're going to do. Damien says, if I like rum at all, highly recommend. Is that Bumbo? Bumbu? Am I reading that right? Tequila is your drink, Michelle. So here's the thing. Number one, according to or in response to Damien's comment, I am not a big rum fan, and I am also not a big tequila fan, unless it's like high end, top shelf stuff. All right. So there's Zach who said he's just plugged in his phone. Bum pronounced like bamboo. Bamboo. All right. So with regards to the rum thing, right? Damien, with regards to that, I am not the biggest fan of rum. However, there are some varieties of rum that I am inclined to dabble in a little bit. And it's got to be top shelf. It's got to be a bit of the higher end type stuff. I'm not like here's the thing, like if I'm just like in a pinch and I need some sort of alcohol, I'm not gonna like, oh, what do we have left? Let me go and get some just Cat Morgan or whatever, right? Not really. Like I'm not going to just be drinking that straight or even on the rocks. But if what your recommendation is that it's good and that we can go that level, I might hold that into my put that into my data banks. Okay. Nerf Berserker, my friend, appreciate you watching. Says I'm kicking chicken with my friends. Any excuse to watch a whiskey review. Do I chew and wash it around my mouth, swallow, then take a sharp breath in? Avoid the water unless it's two different notes. So if I'm reading your comments correctly, I don't chew, right? I don't indulge in tobacco in the chew aspect. I don't chew tobacco. I don't dip. My level of tobacco indulgence is a pipe level. Like I smoke a tobacco pipe. Might do a review, might do a live stream with regards to the tobacco that I smoke in a future video, perhaps. But that is to the extent that I engage in my tobacco consumption. All right. So, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen, all the 12 live viewers, we're going to be getting into my favorite, so far, my favorite at least, single malt Scotch whiskey. Going to take a break. We're going to stand. We're going to stretch. We're going to keep the live stream running. Get everybody a chance to walk around, do a few push-ups, take a bathroom break, whatever you need to do, and then we're going to excuse me, we're going to get into burning some runes and then reading some of the stories from lore. All right. Chewing the whiskey around in the mouth. So I kind of give it a chance to sort of like exist and blend with my palate. Like I maybe swirl it around, that sort of thing. But that's the extent. All right, so here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we are at the end of the Scotch reviews. As you can see, this bottle is about halfway done, maybe even less than halfway done. And this is the Talisker Storm. Talisker is a brand of single malt Scotch whiskeys, and Talisker Storm is an intense, profoundly maritime character, like a warm welcome from the wild Hebridean Sea. All right. I absolutely love this single malt Scotch. It's an Islay Scotch. You got that freshness from the sea, from the seafront air, right? It's almost like you're getting just you're getting that essence of like the ocean front crashing on your face. Let's go ahead and pour a shot of this Talisker Storm, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, it's one of my favorites. Over the last 2 or 3 months, I've indulged in this, and this is my favorite. So let's go ahead and go. All right. So there you have it. Everybody who's watching, this is my review of single malt Scotch whiskeys. We're going to get into a Q&A following my review of the Talisker Storm, which is my favorite, maybe a little bit biased. But after that, after the Q&A, we'll get into some of the, rune burnings and get into some of the readings of the lore. So let's go ahead and sample this right now. Talisker Storm, everybody. Hail and thank you for watching. Yes. And again, like I've said, everybody that's watching, you're not going to just sit back and shoot shots of single malt whiskey. This is a whiskey that is designed to be enjoyed on a very convenient, very, very just we're just chilling, right? We're just hanging out. We're just enjoying the whiskey level. Talisker Storm has essences of that Islay bite up front, right? It's like you just been smacked in the face by the ocean breeze. You got that saltiness, you got that peatiness that you would typically get from an Islay. And then on the back end, you got that warm, sort of comforting body of the whiskey that's just like, we're here. We're here. We're not trying to take you into any sort of crazy existence or whatever. Like, just soak it in, absorb it, love it. There we are. So, Talisker Storm is my number one right now, my number one favorite single malt Scotch whiskey. I love the essence of the Islay bite up in the front. Lets you know that you're drinking a Scotch and not anything else. And then while you're sitting there sort of enjoying it, you got that warmth, similar warmth of like a Speyside. The Speyside whiskey that I spoke of earlier today was like the Leesmore, whatever the pronunciation is. You've got that sort of on the back end. So that is my favorite Scotch, the Talisker Storm. You got that sea saltiness, that peatiness up front, that strength that lets you know that you're drinking a Scotch, and then you got that um, similarly warmth essence of a Speyside, like in Leemore. I don't know because I've never tried the Lymore scotches before, so if I'm mispronouncing it, that could be just my problem. So, all right. So while we're here, all 12 live viewers, let's go ahead. Let's for like the next like minute or two. Just stand up, stretch, take a bathroom break. I'm coming back to do a continuation of the Rune set burnings that you guys have watched over the last couple of days, and then we're going to be reading from Osgard stories. It's going to be fun times. So let's stand up. Everyone who's watching live, all 12 live viewers, I'm going to come back in like the next minute. Let's stand up. I'm going to step out of frame for just a minute and come back to continue what we've done so far. So thank you all for watching. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. You guys stand up, stretch, do what you got to do, and I'll be back here in just a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We all took our leave of absence, wanted to stretch, wanted to make sure that we were all alive and well. Yes. Stay hydrated. That's the biggest point of importance, right? Just reading through the comments, everybody. Got Nerf Berserker says, "Hats off to you, my PD friend. Enjoy the Highland Parking. It's 3 a.m. here. Catch up tomorrow. Have a new project to show soon." No, so Nerf Berserker, 3 a.m. in your part of the world, wherever you are. You're in the UK, right? So people who are watching in other parts of the world during this live stream, thank you so much for hanging out and commenting down below. Good night. Water is the real adult drink, like Michelle says. Water is the real adult drink. If you guys aren't staying hydrated right now, you got problems, right? All right. So I'm back. You're back. 13 people watching live here on Midgard Musings. If you are watching live on Midgard Musings right now, the most important thing that I can tell you is that you need to do what this thing says. Subscribe to Midgard Musings. All right? Because you will know whenever I upload new content. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell for notifications, all that kind of fun stuff. We're about to do some Rune set wood burnings. All right. I started a Rune set yesterday, which shows you right here that I'm working on it. And here's Urus. And here's Thurisas. And here's Ansus. So guess what we are about to start on right now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. After we did our fun Saturday night COVID-19 quarantine live stream talking about scotches and stuff, we're going to be getting into the runes. This is a rune set that is commissioned by a local Middle Tennessee individual. Get into this whole thing, and then we'll talk about some stories from the lore. All right. Anybody has any questions for me, please let me know down in the comments below, and I will answer them as best that I'm able to. Holding and maintaining a 12 live viewer stream sort of presence right now. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody. We're in crazy times, everybody. It's crazy what we're in right now. The runes that I'm working on right now are for a client here in Middle Tennessee. Most of the set is completed. I had to go out and obtain more materials today, which was crazy. Craziness, right? Um, Damien says, "Hey, boss, gotta hop off and hit the store. Gotta grab some stuff for the wife. Try to hop back in when you get back, Skull, and enjoyed it. If I don't make it back before stream ends, well, thank you, Damien. We may be here for yet a while." Purple Flamingo, hey man, sorry about the new name. It's A Groves from Facebook. I know who you are. I know who you are, and you are watching live, and I appreciate it. I know who A Groves is. All good stuff. So we are working on a rune set right now. Any questions that you have, please drop them down in the comment section so that way I can respond. Crazy times right now. There we go. After I finish this rune, we will get into some of the stories of the lore and get everybody who's watching to sort of weigh in on their, you know, personal insight, personal feedback. What kind of burner do I use, Joshua? So this is a, if you guys can see, you can usually pick wood burners up like this. These sort of, I don't know, whatever the hell this thing is, you can get it in like Hobby Lobby, Walmart. This is what I'm using right now. It's just a generic wood burner. It usually comes with various tips. What I'm doing right now is offering a sort of rounded, like I've burnt the rooms into the piece already, and this is sort of this piece, this tip or whatever that's on here is offering some sort of like shading to it. So Hobby Lobby is a place that you can go ahead and check out because this is where I got this piece. And times are crazy. Times are crazy. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this Raido piece finished up and get into reading from some of the stories of lore. Thank you so much for watching live here on YouTube. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. Share the video information down below. Get everyone who you know that's interested in, Norse heathenry, Germanic paganism. Get them out here checking out what I do. All right, let me go ahead and finish up the edges of this rune as we are in crazy times. Thank you, Purple Flamingo, who says, glad to be here. I'm glad you are all here. I'm very glad for that, as a matter of fact, because what else are we going to do? You know, we're hanging out. It's a period of time that is focused on isolation. So, Rido is almost done. And it takes a little bit of work to get these runes done. These driftwood runes specifically, once I do them, there's a lot of focus on getting their like physical feel done. I'll show you here in just a minute, but it takes a little while. Nothing bad. It's just time. Time taken and time received. Right? Okay. All right. Go ahead and finish up this rune. This rune set, ladies and gentlemen, is going out to a heathen here in our Middle Tennessee area. So it's important that everything is done correctly and done rightly for this specific individual. There it goes. Fell off my hand. There's the back side. And there's the front side. So there's Rido. Okay? So, let's go ahead and get into some of the readings of the lore, shall we? All right. Michelle Flowers is asking, is that festival thing still going on with this mess? We advertised at First Time Festival in Tennessee. Michelle, the thank you for asking. First of all, if you're referring to the Walpurgisnacht event, I'm not 100% sure because that is something that is outside of what I am internally connected with, right? I can tell you that for our like what's going on here locally in our area in the month of April, we're probably going to be canceling that. But the whole Waprigasnock thing, go ahead and go to their Facebook page and check out what they're doing because as far as I know, everything that I know about what they're doing is going to be posted on their social media pages. So I don't want to like prematurely announce things that they're doing. I support what they're doing, but with the progression of things and the public announcement or the public involvement of everybody, you know, um, that may be impacted with what's currently going on. So check out um, the Walpurgisnacht, Tennessee Facebook event for announcements that influence and impact what they're doing. Um, Other than that, I really can't say what's happening. I don't know. They don't keep me informed. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and read some stories from the lore, from Asgard Stories, as we've done over the last few days and few nights. The last thing that we read was Tyr and the Wolf, right? We also read Freya's Necklace. And now we shall read of the story of the Hammer of Thor. So let's go ahead and hydrate, stretch, whatever we need to do. We're going to read of the story of the Hammer of Thor. This is one of my favorite stories, y'all. Because Thor's my guy. I love Thor's story. All right. So here we go. If everybody's ready, let's go ahead and get into the story of the Hammer of Thor, which is, as we know, if you guys know, what is Thor's hammer's name? Go ahead and comment down below. Let me know what you know about Thor's hammer's name. We should already know, right? We wear it around our necks. A lot of us have it tattooed on our arms, right? What is Thor's hammer's name? Before we get into the reading of the story, before I get into the reading of the story, let me know what is Thor's hammer's name. Mjolnir. Mjolnir the Crusher. All right. Everyone who's watching live right now, 9 live viewers. Let's go ahead and read the story. All right. So as the story starts, Sif was the wife of Mighty Thor. Mighty Thor, the Thunder God, and she was very proud of her beautiful golden hair. She was very proud of her beautiful golden hair, which she combed and braided with great care. Every morning when she woke, she was filled with grief and dismay to find that her lovely hair had been cut off in the night while she slept. Her husband happened to be away that day. When he came home late at night, Sif was careful to uh, keep out of his sight. She felt so ashamed of her shorn head. So Sif is the wife of Thor, and she was so proud of her golden locks. She was so proud of what she possessed. And when Thor came back, she she tried to hide. She tried to be, don't look at me. Don't, something has happened, right? Well, Thor, however, soon called for Sif, and when he saw that he had been, or when he had saw what had been done to her, he was very angry, right? Because this is the woman who is his wife. He saw herself as being a certain thing, and when he saw what had happened, when he saw that her head had been shorn, he was quite upset, right? Now Thor had a quick temper. This is how Thor is. Everyone feared his fierce anger. Who could have done such a wicked deed? There's only one amongst all the Aesir who would think of doing such deed. Now, if it were me or if it were you, who would you think is responsible for shaving Sif's head? Who would you think is responsible for doing such a nefarious deed? Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious to see everyone who's watching right now, all 8 live viewers, who do you think is responsible for what happened to Sif? Michelle says Loki. And you are right, Michelle. For Thor lost no time in finding Loki, and that mischief god had to admit that he was the guilty party. But he begged Thor to give him just a few days, and he promised to give something for Sif that would make her look more beautiful than ever. So Thor decided to give him a chance to try and commanded him to give back to Sif her golden hair. Well, now Loki knew a place where some wonderful workmen lived. So he went off as fast as he could, and he arrived to Niflheim, the home of the dwarves, under the earth, and asked one of them to make quickly some golden hair for Sif. Besides this, he asked for 2 gifts to carry to the gods, Odin and Freyr, so that they could, or so that they might, be on his side, as if Thor should bring his complaint before the Aesir. So Loki did not have to wait long before the dwarves brought him a quantity of beautiful hair, spun around the finest golden thread. It was the beautiful power of growing just like real hair as soon as it was touched on one's head. The dwarves, as we know, are masterful craftsmen, so they were able to produce and procure something that gave the results, right, of what the Aesir were looking for. Besides this, there was a spear for Odin, which never missed its aim, no matter how far it was thrown, and for Freyr, a ship that could sail through the air as well as the sea. So many things that we're reading now about in the lore that were created by the dwarves to give to the sacred, to the gods. Odin's spear, which is Gungnir, and Freyr's ship, which he could like manipulate and take sail whenever he needed to go. All kinds of fun stuff going on right now. So although it was large enough to hold all the gods and their horses, Yet it could be folded so that it was small enough to put in one's pocket. Loki was greatly pleased with these wonderful presents and declared that this dwarf was the most skillful worksman of them all. Now it happened that another dwarf named Brok heard him say this, and he told Loki that he was sure that he and his brother could make another wonderful thing. Loki did not believe that such thing could be done, but he told Brooke that go ahead and try your skill. Go ahead and give it all you got. Try it out. Let me know the results of this thing. Go ahead and give it a shot. Right? The Aesir would judge between them, and the one that should fail in this trial must lose his head. So then Brock, one of the dwarves, called his brother. His name was Sindri. And they set to work at once. They first built a great fire, and Sindri drew into it a lump of gold. Then he told Brock to blow the bellows while he went out, and he was sure to not stop blowing until he showed that he came back. So there was a lot of effort being put into the development of something by the dwarves, right? Brock thought that this was an easy task, but his brother had not long been gone when a huge fly, right? This huge fly came in and buzzed about his face and bothered him so that he could hardly keep on blowing, right? So there was something there was some sort of nuisance that was existing around the dwarves' space of cultivating what they were supposed to be doing, and there was some sort of fly or there was some sort of something that existed that was stopping them from doing what they were doing. Well, while this fly buzzed about his face and still was able to make the dwarves work stop from continuing, Cindy came back. He blew, or he took out from the fire an enormous wild boar, which gave out light and could travel through the light or through the air, which was through wonderful speed. There was a lot of magical work going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. There was an external force stopping the continual growth of what was about to happen, and this external force was just clashing and all this kind of fun stuff. So, throughout the days that were existing on the second day, Sindri, one of the dwarves, drew another lump of gold into the fire and left his brother to blow the bellows. Again, the buzzing, stinging fly came, this nuisance, and was even more troublesome than before. But Brock tried very hard to be patient and was able to bear it without stopping his work until Sindri returned. Then they took from the fire a magic ring of gold from which 8 new rings fell every other week. Well, at this point, and during the third day, a lump of iron was put into the fire, and Brock was again left alone. Brock being one of the dwarves. Okay. So in came the cruel fly. You guys want to know who this cruel fly is? Go ahead and leave your comments down below. But it was Loki, right? He bit the poor little dwarf so hard on the forehand that the blood ran down into his eyes and blinded him so that he could no longer see to do his work. So Loki Loki was one of those forces that existed while the dwarves were working their magical work that tried to stop and prevent the progression of things going on, right? So poor Brock had to stop what he did just before Sindri came back. But not before. The hammer itself, which they were making in the fire, was nearly finished, only to handle, or excuse me, only the handle came out rather too short. So because of Loki's influence, because of him as the fly biting in the dwarves' eyes and in the dwarves' ears and everything, their progression of the tool was infected with what they were doing, right? So with Mjolnir being forged by the dwarves, this magic hammer, as named Mjolnir, had the power of never missing its mark. It would always return to the hand from which it threw, but it had this shortened, sort of like condensed looking handle, right? So it looked a little bit different from what we would expect. So when Loki appeared at last before the Aesir with the two dwarves, with their two with Brokey and Sindri, their gifts, it was declared that they had made the finest things for the hammers, which was given to Thor, and that it would surely be most useful in keeping the giants out of Asgard. So when Loki found that the judgment was against him, he started to run away, but Thor soon made him turn back by threatening to throw his hammer after him. This is the sort of continuing relationship between Thor and Loki after he received his weapon and the relationship between the two. Loki had to sort of collect his wits and think of some way to escape his losing hand instead of making the dwarves pay back the forfeit as he had expected. And at last he told Brock and Sindri that they could have his head according to the agreement, but as nothing had been said about his neck, they could not, of course, touch that. Thus, the wily Loki, by his wit, saved his life. So we see now, ladies and gentlemen, that the image of Thor's hammer has a sort of short-handled aesthetic to it. Quite often in our, go ahead and reach out to my ritual hammer. Quite often the hammer has a stocky head and short hammer, and that is something that we look to for our ritual purposes, just based off of the lore. So my particular ritual hammer, I have one that I've accumulated and that I've gotten from like this particular hammer has where I obtained it from was an antique store. This particular hammer has helped drive in certain you know sacred spaces. I've driven spikes into the ground. I've worked this hammer into my own specific spiritual practices. go ahead and show you what else I have. This particular hammer, which is an actual sledgehammer that I got from my father. I stained it, I cleaned it, I put, runes in the handle, runes on the head. My version of Mjolnir that sanctifies and provides some sort of sacredness to my ritual, right? So there's that. Um, but anyway, Mjolnir the Crusher. Thank you, Michelle. Um, Everybody who's watching thus far, I appreciate you sticking around and being a part of the COVID-19, I like to call it the COVID-19 uh, quarantine live stream. That's kind of what we're doing here lately. So thank you all so much for your support. I'm going to go ahead and end the YouTube live stream. Everybody who is out here who is watching, please stay tuned for my next video, which is going to be on the subject matter of the self, which the part of the self, I should say, which is the philia. Okay, so that's going to be the next version of the self, the next part of the self that I am going to be talking about. All that's going to be up here within the next day or so. So thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for hanging out with me live. Um, Everybody who's watching, what else have we got to do, right? We're all here just hanging out. We're all watching. We're all quarantined right now. So thank you so much for all your support. And I will see you in the next live stream, which will, well, the next live stream might be in the next day or so, but the next video here on the channel will be about the philia. All right. So thank you all so much for watching. Please be sure to write down here, subscribe to Midgard Musings. Appreciate all your support. Hail. Have a great night. Stay safe. Wash your hands. All that kind of fun stuff. And I appreciate all your support. Thank